Hello there, I'm the student and this is another video on my channel, and today I wanted to show you, as the title probably already said, how to change every trade good in the world via the mechanic that I showed in the last video through uncolonizing land and in combination with this little mission of England over here. So let's just get right into it. So as you can see, I cheated a mission over here just so that I can complete this, and I also cheated expansion ideas for me just to show it, but obviously it works the same way in an Iron Man game. I'm going to show you that. But yeah, obviously this mission tree is the mission tree that you get if you are England or if you form England. So you don't even have to start as England, you can start as any nation, you can just form England. Which is not even an endgame tag, and get this mission over here, which as you can see unlocks the Colonial Venture Parliament issue, which you get if you have the English Parliament. For example, if you have the English monarchy, which you also can just switch to if you are England. If you are a monarchy and you are England, you can just switch to it. And if you are a parliament, you can switch to the constitutional republic thing that gives you the same English parliament, as you can see over there. So let's just see the mission over here. As you can see, it gives a settler chance, 20% and Diplo power, but also it unlocks the Colonial Venture Parliament issue and the Sugar Act. The most important one of that is the Colonial Venture Parliament issue. So just see what it does. As you can see, it unlocks you a mission. If you haven't played England, the English Parliament allows you to force parliament debates through decisions from their mission tree, such as the Colonial Venture over here. And you see, if we just do that over here, and it says that in the tooltip already, if this finishes, I get until the end of the game settler chance plus 5%. And right down at the bottom it says can choose the trade good of a finished colony. So as you can see, this parliament issue is active right now, so let's just pass it, I don't care. As you can see, the effects of that: can choose trade good to a finished colonies, and for the next 10 years it even gives colonial development boost +1, which is essentially the same bonus that you can get from this one over here. So yeah, and in combination with the mechanic that I showed in the last video to uncolonize any province, you guessed it at this point I think, you can just send a colonist to those provinces that you uncolonized with that mechanic. And yeah, let's just see what happens if the colony finishes. So for the first colony I'm going to actually let it run through legit, so I'm just going to do a time lapse of this ticking up basically. It should go quite fast due to the 58% settler chance, and as you can see it is already English culture over here. But yeah, I'm just going to do it the legit way so that you can see that it's not just because I'm in a non-Iron Man game. And yeah, let's just get until the end. Okay, so as you can see, the colony of Chartois over here finished, and yeah, it actually, I think it gained additional development through the modifier that I had over here, and you see 5 prestige as well as the event Colonial Venture, called the same as the Parliament issue, and this is triggered right now at every uncolonized province that finished, so that I can choose which trade good it becomes. Obviously you can also yeah, turn that off. If you do this decision over here, you won't get those events anymore. But this event is essentially the most overpowered event that you could possibly think of, in combination with the technique to uncolonize land in the old world. And this is obviously because, as you can see, I can change the trade good of the province to a lot of other stuff, as you can see over here. And it seems to be that you can choose from trade goods that are in the same region, that are active in the same region. So you can't just get gold in every province, because apparently there is not a chance of gold in every province from the game files. But as you can see, cloth right now is in there, which is a quite nice trade good, but there might be even a better trade good, such as paper, for example. Now, the event of administrating an empire didn't trigger. I can just do that real quick. So there we go, the price change event administrating an empire, which yeah, usually the Mamluks pass within the first 20 years of the game, changes the price of paper by 25%, and paper is already in the beginning of the game pretty expensive. As you can see, now it's actually worth 4.37 ducats of trade value. And even though this is cloth, obviously it's a pretty good one, I could change it to paper if I want to. Or I could change it to glass and spawn the faceting event that usually triggers in Constantinople over here. Or yeah, you have to trust me when I'm saying that grain over here is actually available in almost every province in the whole world to choose. And what grain makes so strong is obviously that you notice there goes the change of the trade good. It was cloth before, now it's grain. Now, as you can see, every grain province gives 0.5 land force limit. And it's regardless of the development or something, it's just the local modifier for this province having grain. And obviously the trading in bonus of grain, as you can see, strategic goods, the trading in bonus, if you have a market share of that, which you obviously will have if you do that in a lot of provinces, then you get another land force limit plus 20%, and as it's percentile, it actually means that this 0.5 per province is not actually 0.5, it's more 0.6, which means that you could change the trade good of provinces that are not really that valuable, such as livestock over here. You could change it to grain in order to get 0.5 land force limit per province. And on top of that, obviously the percentage for all provinces that you have. Or you could just change it to paper if you just want to have a huge amount of trade value. But just to come back to Chatois over here, this time I just won't choose grain for the force limit, but instead I choose paper, obviously for the additional price over here. And as you can see, the price is now 1.4 almost ducats higher because the trade good changed. Now, as you can see, if I colonize a second province, the first one will be Chatois over there with paper. If I colonize a second province and do paper in there as well, you see that the price actually doubled in terms of ducats, which says that it costs 70 ducats right now instead of 35 from the last one, and it costs still the same admin points. Now, obviously that wouldn't be that strong if it would cost double the amount every single time, but instead it doesn't actually. It is just a linear, more expensive route to go. As you can see, the third province, Keen over here, if I want to do it paper as well, you notice it costs again 35 ducats more than the last time, which was 70, and in this case it also costs 5 admin mana more. And this is essentially the price change that it gives for paper in this case. The others have other things. As you can see, for example, a grain doesn't cost admin points at all, and it will cost less ducats per time you choose it as well. But paper, as obviously it's a pretty expensive trade good, it costs quite a lot per time that you choose it. And in this case, paper costs 35 ducats more every time you choose it, and it costs 5 admin mana more every second time that you choose it. And just to show you how OP this can be, I'm going to actually do exactly that. I'm going to uncolonize all of that, except my capital obviously, with the help of this little tribal vessel over here. And I'm going to colonize it through commands, because otherwise it would take way too long for this video. But yeah, and then I'm going to show you that I can actually change every trade good in England to a way better trade good. I don't know if every one of them can be paper, but we'll see. And yeah, I'm just going to calculate how much it will cost and how much it costed in the end. And yeah, then you can see what it actually gives. But keep in mind that stuff, for example, like grain over here is way cheaper, even though it has a huge amount of impact through the 0.5 land force limit. Okay, so here I'm back after after colonizing all of that land again and changing their trade goods. And as you can see, I could change the trade goods of a lot of provinces over here. Sadly, I could only change 2 provinces to paper, those 2 over here, Kent and Essex. But as you can see, I could actually change a lot of provinces to fur, which is basically a trade good that doesn't exist in Europe, except for like those northern parts in Russia and Finland over there. But yeah, this is quite funny in my opinion. And keep in mind that after the Feldheads event spawns, so after you get a fur province in the New World, you get this event, the fur price changes until the end of the game for 35%, which is actually a lot, which makes the price 2.7. And in the year 1550, also the event Depletion of the European Beaver happens, which gives another 40% price change of fur, which essentially makes fur 3.5 ducats worth in the game, which is a really good trade good. But obviously I just did that for the memes to show what crazy stuff is possible. But yeah, also the local modifier of that is trade power provincial, so quite nice on that front. As you can see, everywhere where I couldn't make fur or paper, I did grain over here for the force limit, as I said. And yeah, what did this cost me? And as I obviously did a lot of same trade goods over here, obviously every time it gets more and more expensive. And this is the reason why all of this, changing all of this, all of England to other trade goods, costed me 35 admin mana for those 2 paper provinces. And on top of that, 5,100 ducats to change all of those provinces. And yeah, it might seem a lot, but keep in mind, if you have a really good economy by, let's say, 1550 or 1600 or something, then every medium to good player can actually afford changing large amounts of trade goods in Europe to a trade good that he wants. For example, grain, as you probably saw in the time lapse, I could choose grain in almost all of those provinces if I wanted to. So that was really interesting, considering that, as I said, grain gives 0.5 land force limit per grain province. And yeah, that's the reason why I think that this technique in combination with the technique to uncolonize land in Europe actually breaks the game in terms of trade, in terms of provincial modifiers, if it comes to grain, for example. And I think this is actually one of the most overpowered strategies that you could go for the highest possible trade value, for example, or for the fastest military hegemon or something, whereas obviously you need 1 million troops and therefore force limit. But anyways, what do you think about this technique? What do you think about this game mechanic in combination with the uncolonized mechanic? I would really like to know what you think about that. If you'd like to mention it, just down in the comments, that would be nice, and we are going to see in the next video.